I got the email. And we signed a contract. I said, but you changed my whole contract. I mean, the contract kind of benefits you. The lawyer says I got good news and bad news, right? I got good news and bad. So what's the good news? The good news is that the job came out perfect. I love my deck. What's the bad news? The bad news is that I'm not going to pay you.
So I get this court letter in the mail saying that I'm liable for burning a $2 million mansion down to the ground.
Hey guys, welcome to another remodel. We are in another remodel. Keep watching, keep watching. Welcome back to the Carpenter's Touch, the podcast. Today, I have my guest, David, and Dave is from Nicholson Roofing, and today we're going to kind of kick it up a little bit, and we're going to get controversial, right? So today we're going to be talking about crazy clients. Everybody has them. I don't care if you work at McDonald's, Walmart, Best Buy, a mom and pop store. They know the crazy clients. It's just like the lady that goes through a drive-through and then orders her coffee and it's wrong, and she'll drive back around again, and then they did it wrong again, and then she'll come back in. The crazy client. So in construction, right? What happens?
Wait, who's your guest?
My guest is Dave. So we're gonna pause. We're gonna pause for a second. We're gonna do the intro for Dave.
All
so
right.
Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I own a roofing company, second generation. My father started in 1963.
Right.
I took it over and I started full time in 93. Took it over in 02.
So how old were you when you started?
Oh, well, my brother and I, we started roofing with our father when we were little kids. We didn't even have a choice or not.
Right.
Like we were forced to go roof every day. We hated it. Some friends went to the pool. We went to roof. You know, they used to pay us $1 a bundle to carry shingles as kids. That was our summer.
Right.
Our summer was spent in the
And got free boots.
Yeah, sometimes. Yep.
So you're out of in what, Sterling?
In Sterling.
Okay,
originally from Basque Ridge, and then
right.
we're in Sterling now.
So today we wanted to kind of kick it around because I didn't just want to bring anybody to my first, or actually my second podcast. I wanted to bring somebody that's been in the trades, in roofing for many years. And, I kicked it around with Dave. He is not my competitor per se. We're actually friends. We buy from the same place. Our sales guy is the same guy, where we buy our materials. Mike Egan, right?
Yep.
He's our same guy. So I've been friends with Mike about 18 years, and you've been friends with Mike since
middle school.
So
10 years old.
We're not gonna say Mike's age, but he's old.
Yeah,
right?
he's old.
Dusty old, right?
Yep.
So, but we definitely know each other. Every time we bump in, we go inside, get our materials. Hey, what's going on, Dave? What's up? What's going on, Junior? Doing a roof, doing a tear off. But I wanted to take this time because people need to know, right? And that there's actually crazy clients in our industry, right? There are crazy clients. I generally will get one a year. I will always get like this one crazy client. And I like to say it's not crazy. Most people are detailed. Like they'll hand me, okay, Junior, we would like you to do this. And those are detailed people. They're not crazy. And they'll email me like 2 or 3 times in a day. I'm okay with that, right? Mm-hmm. They're communicating. They're letting me know, can we do a change order? I'm fine with that, right? But when the excessiveness becomes crazy, then we have a problem because I'm not going to be profitable.
Yes.
I feel like I have a headache. I feel like, listen, I should have never even taken this job. So, I kick it back to you, right? So what would be one of your crazy clients, right?
Oh, I've had so many over the years. I've bought just about everything on houses. For people claim that we broke, Didn't break driveways. I've had customers complain that we broke driveways with our dumpsters and dump trucks.
So what happened? So you was doing the roof?
Yeah, we were doing the roof. We had one customer tell us it was fine. We can back in the driveway. He was getting it repaved anyway. And, of course, we backed in. It was maybe 1 inch thick. It was barely like a homeowner paved it himself.
Right.
You could tell. And he said, but when I backed in, of course, I left ruts in the driveway.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, when the roof was done, I was buying him a new driveway. He wanted my insurance information. That's just one example of a crazy customer.
So everything was fine.
Everything was fine.
He says, hey, don't worry, I'm going to change my driveway no matter what. Just come on in. Come
Yep.
on in. Take your dump truck. Bring it inside.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. You don't even have to lay lumber on the driveway.
Yep.
I'm
We're
good.
ripping it out.
I'm going to rip it out, right?
Yep.
And then what happened? So
Yep.
Then
he wanted my insurance information, and he said that we broke his driveway, and he did. He got his new driveway, but we wound up buying it for him.
So he got a free drive.
Free driveway.
A roof and a free driveway.
Yep.
So I think for me, right, and I talk back years. So and not currently, the one that happened to me was I was doing roofing and siding,
Yep.
and it was right here in Livingston, New Jersey, and I got this nice job where I did the roof, skylights, Cedar Impression, vinyl shakes. We even changed the door. We did a lot of stuff for this client. And the client saw me as a young entrepreneur. He says, I'm going to give you the job. He gave me the job. We did a great job there. After we did that great job, right, the neighbor down the block says, oh, you do siding? You did siding for so-and-so. Can you give me a quote? And I said, all right, I'll give you a quote. So I gave the guy a quote. And I'm not scared to mention where he works because it's been like 18, 17 years ago that this happened. I was still a young kid learning the ropes. But what happened was I gave him a proposal and he started taking my contract. He agreed to the price. He goes, I'm going to pay you that. I said, wow, this is going to be a great job, right? And it's going to be Cedar Impression to the whole house.
Yep.
So back in the days, that was a big
was
job,
primo.
right?
Yep.
I got to eat steak that night, So what happened was, he says, Junior, I just want to make a couple changes to the contract. Let me make a couple of changes. And I said, no, I don't have a problem. I was still young, naive, dumb, right? I just was an installer, right? At that time, even though I was a new business owner, I really was not that savvy with contracts. So long story short, he starts changing the wording, and then he sent it back to me, and I said, okay, that's fine. And then he signed the contract. Then he goes, you know something? I want to make one more revision. I said, not a problem. Go ahead. Because I'm going to be making money. I don't care, right? So I send him back the contract. He rewrote my whole contract. Inside of me was, beep, beep. Something's wrong. Wake up. Wake up. I got to ask him because every time he would send me an email, it would say on the bottom, state attorney. He worked for the attorney down here in Newark, New Jersey, and he was one of their attorneys or whatever. He worked for the state. So he read through all my terms and conditions, started boxing everything out here, scratching this off, changing words, adding this, adding to the contract, changing prices. I emailed him back after I slept on it. And then I got up in the morning, I sent him a long email. I said, I'm going to retract my contract because I feel that we're not a good fit. I'm not a good fit. No, he called me. He says, hey, Junior, I got the email. We signed a contract. I said, but you changed my whole contract. I mean, the contract kind of benefits you. I'm going to get stuck. Yeah. Something happens. No, I just want to change the wording. I said, no. But no, come by my house. I have your deposit. We're ready to go. We have a color. We have everything. Long story short, I said no. Right? I said no. Why? Because I felt something in my heart like this guy's not the right guy. So there was I passed by the job because you know how you do.
Yeah,
you want to know.
Now you
kind of want to know.
Got it.
There's two bad things that I have, right? Two bad things that I have. If you invite me to your house, guess what? I'm gonna look at your roof. I'm gonna either say
me
it's
too.
right. It's a bad thing.
And your siding.
Right? I'm like
and your gutters.
You need a
and
new
your
roof.
windows. Yeah.
It's a bad thing that we have,
and your
right?
trim.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at wow, who did that? That is so bad, right?
Yeah.
Or I can identify with them and say, wow, that roof was
Yeah.
really done nice. That I
Sure.
can compliment somebody else's work, right? So finally, I got to the point where I said no. I started driving around. The second thing was that I always like to drive around to jobs that I wasn't awarded, right? And I drove by the job about maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, and I saw one of my competitors, very, very nice guy in Livingston. He was doing the job, older guy. He's been doing it for 40 years. Mm-hmm. So he finished the job. I bumped into him all the way, when it was Allied. Mm-hmm. I bumped into to him up in Allied, and I say, hey, whatever happened to that job? Because it was the worst job ever. I said, what happened? He goes, I started putting the Cedar Impression siding on the whole wall. It was roughly around 6 squares. I said, yeah. He told me he came after work, and he says, take it down. I don't want that. I said, I didn't know what to do. I said, but did you kind of feel what I felt? He goes, what do you mean? Did he change your He did change my contract. Did he change it and change everything? Yeah. And that's why I got out of it. I didn't want to. He said, that was my biggest nightmare ever. We had to go back to Allied and get the new shakes, the color that he wanted. He didn't like it. He didn't like the style. So I say that because I kind of saved myself from that crazy client. And then, I think everybody has that kind of little alarm inside of you. Like, hey,
absolutely.
No, you know something? We're not a good fit. Not every client that comes to Carpenter such is a great fit. There's clients, boom, they're great fit. Your detail, boom, we connect. We're always emailing. We're always contacting people. But some people, they're far end. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I had my guys up on the peak of a roof one time. A lady wouldn't pay us for a job, giving us a hard time. It was $24,000. I remember a GAF job, a Camelot,
right.
And
so it's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it was expensive. And I said, you know what? You're gonna beat me for 24 grand. I was like, I'm gonna put 12 guys up on your roof. I had them on the peak of the roof with shingle eaters. And I was like, at this point, you're gonna cost me maybe an hour and a half of payroll. I'm gonna rip your whole roof back off. I was like, you're gonna beat me for 24,000, or I'm gonna get beat for 24,300.
Right.
I'm gonna pay them an hour to rip
I'm gonna
your
pay
roof.
him to take it off.
And
she didn't want to pay you.
Yeah, she paid me. She paid you. She paid me with a dozen guys on her roof with a shingle eaters.
Wow.
To rip her roof back off.
So
2 days before
what
Christmas.
was it? What was the whole thing? Why didn't she want?
She just wouldn't pay. She just wouldn't pay. She kept saying all kinds of stuff that she wanted. This one had to get done. That had to get done. I'm like, the roof is done. She was getting her whole renovation done, right. And she was blaming things like AC units and stuff. I'm not paying until everything's done. I said that has no bearing on me. I said, your roof's been done. It's been done a month. I need to pay these guys. It's 2 days before Christmas.
Right. I remember when I was, before I became a roofer, I was always a carpenter, right?
Yep.
Carpenter's touch.
Yep.
Always a carpenter. I started with my brother, and then I went to Carpenters Union, and one of my teachers there, he was my forms. We did concrete forms and stuff, and he explained. He shared a story about one of the students. He said he was doing a deck. On the side, you do it on the side. You still work for the union, but on Saturday and Sunday, you go and
you build decks.
And you go build decks, right? So the young carpenter goes out, and he tells them that he's going to build this deck, and it was for a lawyer. He says, I'm going to build this pressure-treated deck. It's going to be X amount, X amount. Long story short, he builds the deck. And in the contract that they filled out together, there was a stipulation of 7 days, right? So the guy got a deposit. The young carpenter got a deposit. After he got his deposit, he did the deck. He had a couple rain days in between.
Yep.
And then he finished the deck. So he was happy. Now he was going to get his money. The lawyer says I got good news and bad news, right? I got good news and bad. So what's the good news? The good news is that the job came out perfect. I love my deck. What's the bad news? The bad news is that I'm not going to pay you. Yeah. This is why you're not going to pay me. Is this because you went and you did it in 9 days, and this should have been done in 7 days. And because of that stipulation in the contract that we agreed to, I don't have to pay you.
Yeah, and he's right. He's right.
So in that sense, right, the young carpenter learned a lesson, and the lawyer told him that. Mm-hmm. The flip side is I don't want to speak ugly because we have no names, but the truth about it was that he told his friend, and his friend said, "What? He did that to you? Yeah, I know who he is." One evening when that client was out to dinner, they destroyed the deck. Oh. So the cops came over to the young carpenter's house. Hey, what did you do? I said, I have an alibi. I haven't done nothing. I didn't. So his friend went behind his back and destroyed the deck. I think the lawyer learned something too. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Sure don't try to rip somebody off. No. I always say if I do a good job, and I speak for me, if I do a good job and I do it decently and make some changes, pay me, right? Yep. I generally want to get paid because I got to pay the guys, got to pay the bills and everything else, right? If I do something wrong, I'm going to make good on it. I'm going to take care of you, you know? So, but lesson learned on that, you know?
I hear it from lawyers because of that area that we're in, you know, same as here, they're all lawyers. 90% of these people are lawyers. And they tell me just because I don't have a start date and a stop date on my contract, they could actually sue me for 3 times what the job is actually worth. Just because I don't have that. Right. You know, they're like, if you get the wrong lawyer, you know, they're going to really turn the screws on you. Your friend got the wrong lawyer. Right. You know, and they can look at your contract in 1 second and know that you're in consumer fraud, whatever they call it.
Consumer affairs.
Yeah, where it's three triple damages you're awarded just because you don't have the words on your contract, right?
So in New Jersey, and I learned this because it's probably been probably 7 years back, not too long ago. The guy had sold the house, so I don't mind sharing the story. I did a Hardy job and this is James Hardy siding, right? And it's wood grain. Yep. Right, it says wood grain. Yep. So when you do James Hardy siding in wood grain, kind of don't see any imperfection. It's much easier to install because you don't see it. Yep. But when you have smooth...
Oh, it's a nightmare. You can see every scuff mark.
Oh my God. You gotta wear gloves. It's just so hard. Long story short, the clients went around the house and started putting blue little tapes around every defect. I had to call James Hardy. I called James Hardy up, and I told him, this is what's happening. I mean, there is some defects in your product, but there's also the stainless steel nail holes that we can't do anything about. Long story short, they called James Hardy. We went back and forth. He didn't want to hold. He held my money. Got a lawyer. Lawyer said the same thing you just said. You don't have a start date. You don't have an end date. Yep. I know you sent him a workers' comp and general liability insurance form, but that's on a separate email. It's not on your contract. And we're going to sue you for 3 times the amount.
And win.
Yep. Do you believe that? So I kept on fighting back and forth with them, and I said, I'm going to invest about $5,000 to $6,000 with a lawyer, going back and forth, putting a lien on someone's house. And, I'm generally a good guy. I am, I'm like, I'm not going to go through that. Yeah. I'm not going to go through that. So finally, he never paid me. I remember Mike was like, I would take the siding off his house. Yeah. I'm not that type of guy. I wouldn't do that. But, I was so mad because I lost a lot of money. Yeah. I lost some money on that job. And, at that time, I felt that somebody should have stepped up and, supported me at the same time, right? Yeah. So nothing happened on both ends, so kind of let it go, right? But now I learned. All my contracts have changed. Yes. From 6-7 years ago, it's changed. Yeah. Like if you're gonna go through it, we're protected. Yeah. We're protected, because there's, like you said, there's a lot of, and I have clients that are lawyers. They're good people. Yes. Down to earth. Let's talk about the Yankees. Let's kick it up. But then some people that have nothing better to do. Let me show you that I am a lawyer. Yep. Yes. Take this off. Take this off. Take this off. Add this on.
Yep. I have a question.
Right.
What do you do in the event that your secretary or your office manager or whomever is sending out an offer to make sure that all that paperwork is in order so that you don't bump into those things?
Now everything is on the contract, so it's one full form. They can't mess up. They generally can't mess up now. Yeah. Before it wasn't that way. I didn't have a lot of things
So
in
you
play.
said your insurance, everything on the
Insurance are always in there. Insurance, a
Yeah.
start date, a finish date, also a color. A
Yeah.
color, you know, a problem with colors.
Yes.
You know, on the contract says charcoal, but you know how generically it's charcoal for everybody?
Yeah.
But when you
Yep.
when you order the materials, you order it to be a different color, but you sign for charcoal. And then they say, wait, I'm not getting, and then, no, don't worry, you're going to get the color you want. I know that. So we've kind of changed that as well.
Yeah.
So people will know the color they're going to get versus a generic color, you know.
Yeah.
I have another question. Have
Yeah.
you guys ever been to court because of because of a client?
Because of a client. So I've settled out.
Yeah.
I've settled out.
I could go on for how long's this podcast? I could go on for hours and hours and hours.
Court experience because
Yes.
of that time.
We'll start from the most recent and work back, I guess.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Let's do
Let's
this.
call that person
This one
Peter.
can fall in. Yeah. Well, Peter. Yeah, we can call Peter.
Peter.
Yeah, we'll call this guy Peter.
Right.
Well, Peter called us for a price on his roof in 2020, and
Right.
I met Peter, and I gave Peter a price, and Peter had lower roofs all over his house, and it was old. It was built, it was a big multi-million-dollar mansion
Wow.
built in the 1900s in Mendham. Big, huge mansion. So I gave Peter the price. I said, listen, the lower roofs are a problem. I'm not gonna do those. I'm just gonna do the uppers. You weren't having any problems.
Right.
So Peter has a couple years go by, 2 years go by. This happened in 22. So it was pretty recent.
Right.
We're working in Mendham. My guys are at the deli in the shopping center there, and they all have Nicholson Roofing shirts
Right.
on. This guy sees them walking in there, asks them for if they do side work, the one guy. And they say, sure. He didn't know that I bid on the job. They didn't know I bid on the
Right.
job. They thought it was just some random person asking them about a roofing price. So they go over there and they get the job. And there's flat roofs on it. And they use a torch on it. And they don't know how to use a torch because they're not experienced with a torch. I mean, unless you're old school, you may think you know how to use one, but you don't.
Right.
You know, and they found out they didn't. And they burned this guy's $2 million mansion to the ground. The guy knew I wasn't involved with the job. He knew because I had given him a price 2 years
Before,
earlier.
right.
And he knew me. And sure enough, here comes the thing. Well, turns out that the guy who subbed the job, my guys, of course, that were helping with the sub with the job, Peter, everything, they all knew I didn't have it. The only one that had torch down insurance was me.
Right.
So they all went after me for the job. And I get this court letter in the mail saying that I'm liable for burning a $2 million mansion down to the ground. I never went.
They never signed a contract.
Yep. So it gets worse. So then I called my insurance company. I told them I never was on the property. I never touched this job. So my insurance company says, well, we're going to send our adjuster out and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
Right.
They send me a $2,000 bill for the adjuster for the day. So now I'm in court for burning the house down. I didn't burn down. Paying $2,000 more to my insurance company for an adjuster that did absolutely nothing.
Right.
Yeah, it was just a nightmare. I got myself out of it, but so now the guy sits with his house burned down to the ground. And,
Until the insurance can pay. Somebody's insurance, not yours, thank God.
Yep, that was in court, and so yeah, I just got released of that.
And imagine the money you had to spend to your lawyers, right?
Yep.
How much money, the time, the headache,
Yep.
you know, and even the bad rap. You know,
Yep.
the bad rap. Oh, Nicholson just burned somebody's house down.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing.
You know, the reputation.
Well, the Mendham Fire Department shows up, and the Bernardsville Fire Department shows up, and I mean, these guys are friends of mine.
Right.
And all the guys are walking around with Nicholson shirts on it. They cops even messed up when they filled out the police report, and they wrote that I was the principal contractor on the job because they saw all the guys.
Sure.
And I freaked out on the police department. I'm like, you guys, and they're like, oh, we'll amend the police report to show you weren't there. I'm like, yeah, but you got me in so much trouble already.
Right.
I felt like everybody was against me on that one. But yeah, I've had a lot of those happen.
Did you lose?
No, I wound up getting out of trouble. But I had another one I lost right in Gillette. It was. I did do the job for this contractor, but like 15 years earlier, and it was a real screwed up design. The whole main roof dumped into like a gutter this big, 2 valleys, and when when it would ice, they would have ice dams.
Yeah.
And I told her, she said, "How do I stop the ice dams?" I said, "You got to take the gutter off." I mean, it's just a shabby design, you know. So I get a letter from them that they were suing me in court for a roof I didn't even do for them, and they wound up winning, and I had to pay them $5,000 back to the original cost of the job.
Wow.
Yeah, that one I lost.
Is that plus legal fees?
We settled with the
company.
Yeah, with the lady before, because I was losing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just but I never even did the job for her. Now I have another lady in Basking Ridge that's suing me for a job that I didn't do for her either. And these things are like, I don't even.
They hate you over there. What's
like
going on?
it's the craziest setup.
Yo, we're gonna have to stop giving away shirts, man.
It's in like this. It's on. It's. I don't know if I can say the address.
No, you can't say that. You don't want to say nothing.
Oh, you're gonna have to beep it out.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's a place. It's a place where you can only go certain amounts, certain times of the day, because it's actually one of the oldest nudist colonies where they wear no clothes.
Oh.
And like in the state of New Jersey.
A nudist place?
Yeah, but you can work in there 3 months of the year.
Oh.
But because they wear clothes in the winter. But like if they have a problem in the summer, you can't go in there because they lock the place down. So this lady buys this house.
In New Jersey?
It's in New Jersey. Oldest one in New Jersey. It's in Basking Ridge. And they're like garden sheds that were built into, like, they have no heat, they have no plumbing, they have nothing. They have 2x4 rafters, 16 feet long. They're like nightmares. But you can they all need roofs though. You get paid to do the roofs.
Exactly.
But you explain to them, like, listen, this isn't built to spec. This isn't built right. If you want a roof, we'll put a roof on it. So this guy decides he's going to put skylights in this thing. It's got like a 1-inch pitch on it. He doesn't want flat roofing. He wants it shingles for the look of it. Okay. Maybe like a 2-inch pitch.
Right.
So now you got skylights and a 2-inch pitch on his recommendation. This is what he wants. Sure, it's basically a garden shed with sheetrock anyway. What's the difference? He's what he's doing in there. Who cares? I can only imagine.
Right.
I just want it out of there. And so this lady buys the thing, and now I get another letter from a court that she wants to take me to court for because they said we didn't nail the plywood down. When you guys did the roof, you didn't nail the plywood down. I said I buy those guys go through like unbelievable amounts of nails. I find it hard to believe they wouldn't nail your plywood down.
Right.
It's so that's another one that's pending right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I put my insurance company on it, and trying to explain that to the whole nudist colony and all that stuff to the insurance company.
They're
ladies
laughing.
looking at them.
They were probably laughing, right? I never knew about this either,
It's the oldest
crazy.
one in New Jersey. Apparently it got big in like the 1920s.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just a way to beat the taxes.
Oh.
That's pretty much, they all move in there tax free, because it's a farm. It's like, like a farm. I don't know. You'd have to look it up.
I would say, let's say when somebody, when somebody doesn't pay, and let's call the ticket $50,000, right? A ticket, a nice roof siding job that you did, right? And so what happens is generally we as contractors have some type of rights, right? Generally, the consumer affairs is they kind of make it for the homeowner, because they always get scammed. There's a lot of people, if you guys know what a cheese line, if they're giving out free cheese, guess what? Consumer affairs is the same way, because a lot of people get scammed. So that's why you want to always hire somebody that's licensed, somebody that's insured, somebody that's certified, right? You always want to hire somebody that has those type of credentials, that they can give you 3 references, right? That, that's been in business more than 10 years, because generally you don't want a guy that's been in business 3 years. Why? Because he might just fold the next day.
Absolutely.
He may fold. You want somebody that's been around at least 10 years. So consumer affair kind of made all these rules to kind of protect the consumers, because there's so much fraud. There is.
Yes,
there's a lot of people that take your money, deposit, and then I'm going to do your roof tomorrow. Doesn't come. Shingles don't get delivered, and they run.
Yep.
Because they don't. they're not licensed, they're not insured.
Yep, they can't get the permits.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not on Google. You know. But anyway,
happens all the time.
You know, I say for us would be like liens. I think that's the only thing that kind of protects where we would put a lien on somebody's property, right? Have I personally done a lien? I have not. I have not done a lien.
Never.
I try to settle things out with people and try to work things out, but I will never, you know, lien on somebody's house. You really got to go far and beyond to put on somebody's lien. I don't know if you put a lien on somebody's house.
I've never put a lien.
Right.
I've never been to court.
But
I've only
that's
been taken to
the
court.
only way that we can kind of, you know, that you can kind of defend
And I tell you
yourself.
what, I've only been taken to court by customers that I didn't do the job for.
All right.
You know,
exactly.
These are all customers. All those times in court, I never did the job for any of these people. I don't know. I have no idea when they call and they're like, "Oh, you did our job, and you know, you're no good." I'm like, I have no idea who this is.
Right.
I never.
I tell you guys to stop door knocking.
Yeah,
In that area.
yeah. These are people that bought the houses 10 years after I did the roof, and
Right.
somehow knew I did the job and like tried to make me warranty. And it says right, my contract is to the original owner.
To the original owner, right?
Yeah, of course. So like we're only legal to give a 1-year warranty in this state.
Right.
That's all we legally have to do.
So we spoke before, like I still give out a 10-year warranty now.
Me too.
I've kind of come down.
Yeah.
And I've made it 5.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that generally after the first 5 years, you're good.
You're good.
You're good. If you haven't had
Yeah.
a leak in the first 5 years, you don't have to hold it for 10.
Yeah.
You know, I remember a lady that what happened was she was in Newark, New Jersey. Nice little old lady. I did her flat roof. She called me 3 years after. She said, "Junior, it's leaking." I went to her house and I said, she said, "It's actually right here." So I put the ladder up. It's a flat roof. Got up on the roof. And I said, "Oh, satellite dish. Screws, not caulk, nothing." And we put a little hose to it. Water was, "Oh, you found it. You found it." And I said, "Ma'am, you voided your warranty, you know." But, you know, I had a good heart. And I still have a good heart, right? And I just took care of the repair for free. She was maybe about 70-something years old. But a lot of people don't know that if you give a warranty to somebody, right? If you give a roof warranty, if you give a siding warranty, and you want to make an alteration, you want to change something, you should call the original roofer.
Oh, absolutely.
You should call the original cider, because then you void that warranty. And then, no, my cousin, I got this free skylight, and you know, I went up on the roof and I installed it with my cousin.
Sure.
Because he he came out of carpentry school and we did it, and but it's leaking. Well, guess what? You voided the warranty completely.
Yes.
So, and a lot of people don't understand that, but you did the roof.
Yep.
You know, and they'll always point to that. And a lot of people don't understand the importance of a warranty. I always, I'm a GAF type of guy. I install GAF, right? And GAF doesn't sponsor this program, right? But through that, I offer the Golden Pledge warranty to kind of take the liability off of me, even though if something would happen, right? But we generally will take care of anybody's warranty, and that's what's so important. But if you don't have a warranty,
yeah,
it's like driving a nice Mercedes-Benz out of the dealership, and guess what happens? You have no warranty, and something happens.
Yeah,
it's on you. So to kind of sum everything all up, tell me all the red flags of a client, of a bad client, or a crazy client.
Biggest red
Tell
flag.
them so they know.
Biggest red flag of a client. I learned this from my dad and my uncle, who started Nicholson Roofing in 1963, 60 years ago.
Right.
So they said they've been down the road. They said, biggest red flag, a customer comes up to you, says, "I want this all done. I don't care what it costs." That's your number one red flag, because anybody who's going to pay their bill cares what it's going to cost. So as soon as they tell you they don't care what it costs, walk away. That means they're not going to pay you.
That's a gem.
Yep. That's the biggest red flag of being in business.
So for me, a red flag would be like I had this. So the lawyer client that started to write on my contracts and alter my contracts and my terms, I had that probably in all these years, probably done 5 times.
Yeah.
5 different times. in the 18 years. You know, this year is our 19th year, right? So I would say that for me is a big, big red flag. Can I deal with 3 emails a day? I can. Can I deal with 4 or 5 different phone calls or some change orders? I can. But Junior, you promised me this and I didn't get it. I didn't promise you. You signed for this. So there's, and then that feeling, there's a little witness inside that says, hey, don't do the job. Just don't do it. He says, don't do the job. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't do it. Or, you get it? But
Yep.
you're thinking, I have to feed my family. My employees have to work, and you're trying to, go through that motion. But I would say for me that would be my kind of alarm, if you're going to change my contract or alter my contract. So there you guys have it. Crazy clients, we didn't kind of tell, I have.
Oh, I could go on for hours.
Wait. No, you know something? I'm going to share one. My craziest client, right? You guys want to know my craziest client? My craziest client is a gentleman. So it was probably about 16 years ago, right? I was working in Princeton, and to the people that are in this area, they're in New Jersey, right? They know from Newark, New Jersey, all the way down to Princeton, or where the University of Princeton is at, it's about an hour and a half, right? It's an hour and a half ride. So I would drive down there, and there was this builder. He would provide so much work for us. So he goes, the builder, Junior, I have this major job. I said, okay, great. Because I was just running from roofing and siding and roof siding for him, and he was keeping me work, right? So I was loving it. And we was doing Hardy and Cedar and everything. He goes, well, this client, he's an architect. He's very picky. I said, okay. He has some plans. So we sat down, and he opened up the plans. I've never, ever seen plans like this in my whole life. It was so detailed. Every single line item.
Oh, man.
Everything was so crazy. So he was an architect for the state of New Jersey in Trenton.
Oh, no.
So he had all the details. So I'm like, I told the builder, have you ever seen plans? I've never seen plans. So he was actually building the addition. I was doing the roof and the siding and the windows. Long story short, and I'll fast forward, we started the job. As we started the job, the gentleman, the architect, would come in the morning. He would say, Junior, I want you to put a crown here, only on these 2 windows. Then he would come at lunchtime. And he says, you know something? I want an apron now. Then he would come at 6 o'clock. So back in the days, you would work until the sun goes down, 8 o'clock
Still.
at night. Now everybody wants to finish at 5 and go home. But back then, we would work hard, and the guy would be there at 6 o'clock. He would ring me. His price, just so you guys have a number, his price to do the siding and the roofing back then was $20,000, right? Mm-hmm. Which was
a lot.
Back then, 16 years ago. His change order was the same amount. Yeah. I sat down with the builder 2 times. Then the 3rd time I told the builder and him, I said, listen, I cannot do anything else because every time we're working on something, he would come at lunchtime and he would want to change it. And then I would change it for him, go get more materials, and I would never be able to get done. So what would happen? I sat down with him. I sat down with the builder, and I said, Francis, I know he doesn't work there anymore, but his name, I said, Francis, I cannot do this. I want to finish your addition. I want to put cedar siding. I want to make it look pretty, just like the plans. Let me work. Let the guys work. I promise, Junior, I will not make a change. He shook my hand. He shook the builder's hand. He shook everybody. Thank you. All right. I'm going to get lunch for the guys. Don't worry. The builder now leaves to another job site in Princeton. And he says, Junior, you know something? I know no more changes, but guess what? One more change. One more change. What do you think I did?
Yeah, fixed it.
What do you think I did?
Changed it.
No.
You left?
I left.
Oh, God bless.
I left. I told the builder, called him up. I said, he's a crazy client. I can't deal with him. I didn't want to leave, money on the table, but I was never going to be able to finish the job because he was so many changes, you know? So I always say, people, if you're going to make changes, make some, right? That's okay.
Yeah.
But not 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Excessive, right?
Yep.
So I hope you guys love the podcast. If you guys have any comments for a new idea for a podcast, let us know. Follow my friend Dave from Nicholson Roofing. And then also don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep watching.
Thanks, guys.